Hey, everybody. Welcome to the HIT.OR.DIE podcast, episode 96. We're here with your host, H.I.T..OR.DIE and Chad Rothford. Just shout out to our sponsor.
Blandcompany.com. Want to thank those guys for helping us out the last month or so. Hit up Jesse Dara for any needs you may have, whether it be solar, heating and air, roofing. Again, that's blandcompany.com. And want to shout out a good friend of mine. Daniel started a podcast. I've known him, probably 30 years now. Off the Bench is what it's called. He put out his first episode. He's a big supporter of ours and listens to everything, and has been good to us and actually shouted us out on his first episode. Just want to return the favor. Check him out. Doing some basketball guys, going to cover kind of everything, all sports, especially local stuff. So again, Off the Bench podcast. And Super Bowl. We finally picked one right as far as the last one.
Yeah.
We were way off on baseball, but we both picked Tampa. Were you surprised how that played out?
Yes. If you told me that Kansas City wouldn't have scored a touchdown, I wouldn't have believed you. I think them 3 field goals is just crazy. That defense is, I know everybody's saying the defense was the MVP, which quite frankly it was, but
yeah. So Brady did what Brady does when in a big moment.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't turn the ball over. Made some throws when he had that one to Gronk. The second one, that throw had some life to it, man.
Yeah.
And then how'd you feel about him going at Matthew and them
Loved
going
it.
back and forth?
Loved it. I loved it. And because he's a competitor and he talks the talk, but he walks the walk. And I love that afterwards, Matthew said that he said something derogatory towards him,
whatever.
But Michael Irvin has access to the audio from the Super Bowl, and he came out saying that Brady said nothing of those terms, because obviously when somebody says the derogatory, they're thinking, the N-word.
Sure, something inappropriate.
Yeah, but that's what Irvin said.
Right.
Irvin was like, everybody's probably assuming he said
like a racial slur, yeah.
And in no way did he say anything of what Tyrann Mathieu is saying. So I'm glad Irvin came out and kind of backed up Brady, because he's never been known to be that type of guy. He's intense. He's probably one of the biggest competitors there is out there, and Tyrann, he probably just said something to him that got under his skin, but he, and he's not afraid to go at you. So I'm happy for Brady. 7 Super Bowls. Everybody's arguing the GOAT or whatever. He's got, 11 other guys, or technically 21 other guys that, are on the field. But then again, you think about it and you're like, okay, but he has 21 other guys as a team helping him, not including special teams, obviously, but those 21 other guys have to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And Brady has to do his, obviously,
right.
But he's relying on 21 other guys to do their job as well.
Right.
To win 7 Super Bowls. So I get, Russell has 11, basketball championships,
right.
But let's be honest, back in the day, nobody was stopping Bill Russell. It was him against a bunch of 6-foot white guys that can't play basketball.
Had no shot.
Let's be honest, Yogi Berra in that time, that's impressive with the, I think he's got 9 or something.
Yeah, you can, I guess it'll always be up for debate, and it's the team aspect of it that kind of maybe throws a wrench into for some people.
But he's relying on more guys to be on their game.
Yeah.
If the defense doesn't play the way they do, Brady doesn't have.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing this now and trying to come up with lists. I don't know if I would even do that anymore, because it's really not fair. They're all worthy of being some of the best in their era, in their sport. And they all require kind of different things and aspects of the game, and they're not identical. It's kind of hard to cross them or intersect them and call one of them the best, because they're all different. So to say Russell and Yogi and Jordan and Tiger Woods and Brady.
Let's just leave it to sport.
Yeah. Or Kobe. All these guys, they're all great athletes. They're all could be considered the best. They all had tons of success. Why even put a list together?
Yeah.
Just give them all credit. You know, they're all GOATs. You know, I mean, that term, I guess, is just, it's loosely used
overplayed.
Now. It's loosely used. So I don't know.
But I mean, 7 Super Bowls and
it's
5
incredible.
MVPs.
It's incredible.
In 10 appearances.
To be, you know, what was he, a 5th round pick?
Yeah.
You know, to be a guy that was never expected to be a guy. You know, it just shows you what, you know, work and being prepared and taking care of business, man.
Yeah.
You want to win. There's a process that takes to win. And look at Kobe. None of those guys just had success just because.
I think Brady changed because everybody's like, oh, Tampa had weapons. Yeah, they had weapons, but they had weapons before he got there.
Well, the first thing I heard the next day was that, you know, somebody in football finally bought a world championship. That happens in baseball. You know, it happens in basketball. And this was the first football team to buy a Super Bowl.
I mean, they were 7-5, not even going to be in the playoffs. I don't really believe in that because, you know, Brady didn't want to leave New England. They just, you know, it was their time in Tampa. He went to Tampa, and let's be honest, we all knew Gronk. That was the thing. Gronk didn't want to play for anybody else but for Brady. I mean, he said that when, you know, New England wouldn't give him his contract. He didn't want to play for anybody else but with Brady. And then, but look what he did with Antonio Brown. Like, nobody wanted
or Fournette.
Nobody wanted to deal with that. And a guy like Tom Brady can change somebody's mindset about a me thing,
right,
to a us thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that Tom Brady does is you've never heard him in any interview. You've never heard him in his whole career talk about himself and things that he's done. It's about us. And I think he had a talk with Antonio Brown. Like, look, I'm sticking my neck out for you again. When you come here, if you want to win a Super Bowl, this is going to happen. You have to be like this. You have to do it this way. This is how we're going to do things. And I read something that the whole week leading up to the Super Bowl at like 11 p.m., Tom Brady like sent a text out to the whole entire team saying, we're going to win. And like, just imagine this 43-year-old, you know, 6-time pro or Super Bowl champ that doesn't need to do that,
right,
is leading by example, and he's believing in everybody. So that's going to give the confidence to everybody. Like, yeah, we can do this,
and he still wants to win.
So, yeah, more than anybody.
And so even with Fournette, I'd heard a lot of things about him in Jacksonville, and then getting released, and then getting picked up, and taking a back seat to Jones, and having to learn how to take that role. You know, you're a every down back for your whole time in the league, to getting cut. And now you're kind of a backup essentially. And honestly, he ran the ball really well late and had a good, you know, that run in the Super Bowl. And you just had guys buy into screw it, whatever it takes to win. We're going to do that. You know, cause I think Godwin didn't have much of a game in the Super Bowl, right?
Evans didn't really,
you know, the
guys that scored the touchdowns was Gronk, Antonio Brown, and Fournette.
So it was just whatever the team needs. If
that's what bothers me. People saying they bought a championship. Okay. Nobody wanted Antonio Brown. Gronk kind of came with Brady, but I guarantee you he didn't cost what everybody thinks. And nobody wanted Fournette. So what do you mean you bought a championship? That still doesn't make sense to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Jaguars didn't have to let him loose. So there was a guy there. He's been a starting running back his whole time in the league. Yeah. You know, if we can go grab him,
I'm sure they didn't pay Antonio much.
Yeah.
He just wanted to play.
I just love it. I kept seeing, you know, the penalties at the end of the first half were being, you know, brought up on Twitter and different social media. And they were there's a couple that where I was like, the iffies, but I don't know how much does that change? Cause even, you know, KC got the ball at the second half and they had nothing for him.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but I'm not a big football as far as X's and O's and, you know, maybe I like watching Cam Morrell's Twitter. I like seeing him tweet stuff because, you know, he's been in that level. He's played at that level. He's been in those games, you know, playing in a Super Bowl. I like to hear his feedback and things that he comments and, you know, I'll take some of that advice from the things he says, but I still don't know if that, would have made a difference even in the outcome of the game. But congrats to Brady, 7. And I think I saw somewhere Nick Saban made a comment of like, at the end of the day, he's still going to have more, because I think they both have 7 championships. Yeah. Good old Nick Saban. Our guest today, Bulldog first rounder, as a junior, 2-way player at Fresno State. Ben Fritz will be joining us. Attended Oak Grove High School in San Jose, came to Fresno State, was in a WAC Pitcher of the Year in 2002, Baseball America, All-American. First round pick in 2002, 30th overall, and was with the A's organization for 6 seasons. Drafted by the Detroit Tigers in 2007 in the Rule 5 draft. Played a few seasons independently, and in 2015 joined the Padres Arizona League organization as a coach. Coached Tri-City in 16 and 17 and was their Padres rehab coordinator. And in 2019 was named the Padres bullpen coach. So we're going to get Ben Fritz here on a Zoom call, and hope you guys enjoy.
All right, well, we're back with Ben Fritz, the bullpen coach for the San Diego Padres. Ben, thanks for joining the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Your time at Fresno State, there's not a lot of 2-way guys at the Division I level, and you were fortunate enough to be a 2-way guy. I know Bennett liked that sometimes. I know he let Weaver hit a couple times back in the day. He wasn't really a 2-way guy, but he let him swing it a little bit. You actually caught and pitched. But take us back to your time at Fresno State playing for Bennett and him allowing you to do that with your reps, and then also just his last season there, the year you got drafted.
Yeah, I mean, Bennett was the main, sole reason why I ended up at Fresno State as opposed to some other schools. Most schools wanted me to do one or the other. Bennett was giving me an opportunity to do both. I loved both equally, same as him. So I got the opportunity to kind of come in and not have to pick one out of my, high school year. And it was the best decision I ever made, to come play for Bennett and Rupsich and Purse and those guys, and kind of get to grow in both positions. Obviously getting drafted where I did as a pitcher, I think that was just as much having been a catcher as well. I think it helped me grow. And playing for Bennett and getting the opportunity to play in his last year, I got the win for his 1,300th win. Really just an unreal experience. The guy's a legend, and getting to learn under him at both positions, and really just getting to be a part of his last year. I mean, me getting drafted that year, it was just kind of everything just came together really well for me, and getting to play for him his last year.
Yeah, you could have been drafted as a catcher, I think, as well. I mean, your offensive stats,
we led the team in home runs, I think RBIs. We're top 5 in average, top 5 in runs scored. And I think you had 10 wins also? 9 wins?
9 and 5, 7 complete games.
Yeah, 9 wins. Again, this is all credit to them giving me the opportunity to do both. I got to pitch. I got to hit when I pitched. Didn't get DH for, so that was always, if I didn't have a good game on the mound, I got to stay in and swing the bat, maybe make up for something. I had a good year. The summer before in Alaska, I led the league in doubles and hit better with a wood bat, average wise. I think I got a little long with the metal bat trying to hit some homers, but I always, scouts would ask, what do you want to do? And it's I want to play in the big leagues. And so whatever that position was, obviously that didn't happen for me. I got to AAA, but I've gotten to get there last year as a coach. So, everything kind of happened for a reason, and they put me in a really good spot to advance my career.
Leading into that 2002 year, did you have any sense of the draft, first round? I mean, it's first round draft pick. I'm under, not sugarcoating, but it's a big deal. Did you have any idea of where you might go in the draft?
I don't think going into my junior year I was projected near that high. I mean, probably 5th round. I know the big game for me, like, was against Nevada, against Rasner, Daryl Rasner, who was he was projected to be a top, first, second round guy. And that was a game against Reno. I threw 147 pitches. I remember that. That might have been the 161 game. 147 was against Fullerton. 161 against Rasner. We won 1-0. And I think that kind of elevated my draft status that game. It was one of the complete games. It was freaking awesome. I think I scored the only run in that game too, the 1-0 game. But that kind of moved me up the board. And even on draft day, I thought it would be early. I didn't think first round. Oakland I talked to for maybe 10 minutes. So they were a surprise that it was them. But yeah, man, that day was an awesome day.
It's funny you say you talked to Oakland for like 10 minutes, because a lot of our stories of the guys that were even just drafted in general, the team that drafts them sometimes isn't even the team that you think.
Go back to like Jason Donald, who
he never even talked
to Philly.
Yeah.
When he got drafted by Philly in the 3rd round. So yeah, that's kind of interesting that you do say that. Do you have any? I'm sure you have a bunch. We've just had on Mark Gardner last week. We've had on a number of Fresno State alum, Bobby Jones. They all have some pretty good stories of Coach Bennett, or moments. And we've had a couple good fungo stories with Coach Bennett and pitchers. Do you have anything for us as far as Bob Bennett that just you'll always go back to?
Well, shoot, on the field stuff, man, that guy was a wizard with the fungo. I mean, if you maybe did a few things wrong or dogged it on something, he could put that fungo you're running your sprints and he could put the fungo a foot out of reach. So you're running to the warning track to get it. You knew if you were on his good side at the time, he was in the chest every time on the sprint. A lot of my memories are seeing him on buses after games and him taking notes, and just kind of like he never stopped. And it was all, it didn't feel like this at the time, but looking back, it was all out of love for his players and the effort he put in, the time he put in. And as a college kid and as a punk, sometimes you're getting pissed at, this, but when you look back and realize like what he did for me becoming a man and just all of the time and really a lot of what I try to do as a coach, especially when I first started, like he was a perfect example of really, you knew he cared about you. So I think that more than like a specific on the field and how good he was with the fungo and obviously with teaching the game, but like just how he made you grow up and the time he put in, and just that he respected the game and he respected every part about it.
Yeah, we got to talk to him, I think in 2000. Was it 19?
Yeah, it was.
And
it was right after we started this kind
of. I could, Coach Purse, helped set it up, and I think Jeff Prieto, and it was amazing to see how still sharp he was, and I mean, it detailed, and he was still writing.
Animated. He gets so animated.
He was still writing. He was still putting out stuff for people to go read and to try to help the baseball community. Just, you're right. He never stopped. I love that you said that about him. I did read an article too from 2002 before we jump, because I want to get into some pro stuff, but Fresno State had an archive article on Ben Fritz, the junior pitcher catcher. And it talked about, your dad, playing, and your brother playing professionally and coaching for a long time. And you never considered, it quoted you as saying, you never considered playing anything else. Baseball was it. But when you're not focused on baseball, you indulged in your other addiction in 2002, and that was video games. And this just made me laugh, because this is from March of 2002. It said the graphics they have now are incredible. Playing Madden 2002 is like watching a real football game. And I just loved it because today it's even more so true. And I wish these younger guys could go back to 02 and PlayStation 2. And they're like, PlayStation 2?
But to us, that was like the new game. Yes. So it was real tough.
Oh, that was awesome.
And so like on road trips, your hotel room your room was the Madden tournament room.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And what's funny is that's probably the last year I played a video game. I think I still have my PS2. Gosh, dang, that's funny.
I just love that. It made me laugh.
Yeah, I literally think the last year I bought a Madden game was maybe 2012. That's funny because now it's like video games, 2 kids, and that's I really think my PS2 might still be up in my loft. That's freaking crazy.
So no,
it's funny that was my hobby.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, but I mean,
you're a college kid.
Yeah, college kid. That's what you do,
right? It was homework or Madden.
We still do it. We still do it, and there is no good excuse for why we do it. No. So you get into your first round pick.
You
were
supposedly the Moneyball
draft. Yeah,
the first
Moneyball draft.
Yeah, they had 7 picks that year, 7 first round picks.
Was there ever conversation about you doing 2-way, playing, pitching or catching at that level, or was pitching just kind of the route you were going to stay on, or was that conversation never had?
When they announced me as a pitcher on draft day, I think that's when the conversation was over. Yeah, I would have loved the opportunity, but there was different teams that liked me for different things, and when they said pitcher, and I had created an expectation that it was whatever the teams thought I was closer to the big leagues as, I was stoked about it. It was tough going to playing every 5th day, though. I will say that.
I bet.
Well, and was at that time, I mean, were you still, I mean, you're not throwing 140 pitches, but did that just, I don't know how to say this, knowing that you were somewhat, reliable, that you could get deep into games, was that something that they had you do at the pro level?
No.
Or were they pretty careful, especially you being a first round pick?
Yeah, all their starting pitchers throughout Oakland it was under their system. If you threw 110 in one game, you're probably throwing 90 the next. Just kind of this, balancing out over a certain amount of time, the workload. But they definitely, at the minor league level, it's, not nearly as much about winning and developing. So you're not letting the guys go as deep you kind of earn that as you move along. And as my career progressed with them, getting into the higher levels, I was coming off of Tommy John. And so I never really kind of got into the chance to kind of extend myself like that.
Chad sent me an article. We were doing some stuff to get ready for this. And, since you brought up the Tommy John you had in 04, I think it was the San Diego Tribune or somebody did an article on you last year about, the mental side of what dealing with that and how you helped a lot of their minor leaguers go through the rehab process and dealing somewhat more, not even the physical part of it, but how you help them mentally. And I don't know how it relates so much with what kids are dealing with today. Obviously, there's a lot of mental things going on with kids being at home all the time and no sports. And while it may not be an injury, there is a lot of psyche things that these kids are dealing with. Can you kind of go into your situation and what you did to help overcome, and then things that you do with the players during that time as a rehab coordinator?
Oh man, that's deep.
And it's a lot to ask in like 20 minutes.
I'll keep it. Like, they've gotten, the doctors and the physical therapists have gotten so good at the physical side of this rehab stuff that really it becomes it's a year-long process, usually at the shortest now. I mean, the progression's gotten a little bit longer in the Tommy John rehab, and you've got a year to compete internally. And all you've ever known is competing against, as a pitcher, the dude in the box, or, I'm beating it's me against you. It's, you're beating the other team. And when you have a year to sheerly, there's no competition. There's no external competition with someone else. It's purely you're battling yourself. And one that can become hard, especially on your down days, because everyone who's gone through Tommy John rehab, it's a roller coaster. There's good days, there's bad days. It's really, you get through it better on how you deal with the bad days. But being able to come out the backside of it still as the fierce competitor you were against the opponent, and not be able to still, like, you have to be able to make it external and not so much internal competition with yourself when it's back to game mode. So, I mean, that's a little more on the exterior of it, because when you're going through the process, I've just seen guys have setbacks and then you immediately doubt, did I re-tear it? Did I do this? It's just a lot of time for thought. And the more thought creeps into more doubt, and the more doubt, just starts to take you spiral down this road. And not everybody does it, but it's easy to do when you don't have the outlet of competition. And so I've just found through my own going through it, and where I think my downfalls were, and then seeing other players go through the rehab process of, start to go maybe down the wrong path mentally, you're able to just hopefully hone them back, get them right back on the right track to understand that this is okay in that process. And these don't have to be long, that, the peaks, the valleys don't have to be long if you're able to stay with a good mindset. Without going very deep, that's kind of what I'd say. Just, it's so easy to go to a dark place during rehab. And when you do that, it makes it harder to come out the other side. So just trying to keep guys, level-headed throughout the process.
Did you ever, lean on Coach Bennett going through that time? Because, he was, like you were saying, he's like a father figure, and he cares about and loves you. Just with the mental side, he's really into the mental side of things.
I called him every off season for sure. As I was playing, we'd talk. As I gone into coaching, I honestly probably talked to him more. When I went into coaching, I'd call him and just kind of pick his brain. Sometimes it was just be updating him with what I was doing. He was always super positive with me, always had good advice, and just kind of, give me good encouragement, I guess, throughout the process when I started coaching. But yeah, I would say I definitely lean on him. We talked, quite a bit throughout my post Fresno State career. I stayed in touch with him, and every time we'd come back, I'd always come back for the alumni game. And if he wasn't out there, we'd go see him. We do something to stay in touch with him for sure.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I was just going to say, and with that article, when it was talking about the mental stuff, there was also a part in there that, and I'm guessing it was kind of tying into the time that you had to deal with, your rehab and going through the process. It was another quote from you, but it was looking back, that you took things for granted. I was good, but didn't do anything extra. I did what I was asked. I did what I was supposed to do, no doubt, but I didn't exhaust all my resources. And I think that is so true of so many athletes, especially today. Could you even just, as brief, I mean, I know again for time, but go into that, especially for the younger kids with that, because that has nothing to do with even being hurt. I see more kids do that even just every day at practice.
Yeah, it's hard to recognize at the time, there's just perfect examples of this every day that I see, when I get to come to the complex and work with these athletes, and you see the guys that go above and beyond, and then you see the guys that do the program that's asked. And I'm not saying that doing the program that's asked is bad, but when you're hungry for something, you do a little bit extra and it shows. And it doesn't mean swinging 100 extra reps, swinging the bat. It's conversations, it's picking guys' brains. It's and maybe it is the extra reps that day. It's very easy to go through the motions and then look back and go, damn, the window, the baseball window in your lifetime is so small, and it seems like you have forever in front of you. And that's not the way, especially the game works, man. And the cream rises to the top, and athletic ability and takes you so far. And then eventually everyone's on a level playing field there. And what separates you? You know, is it the preparation and all the other things that you're doing that separates you? And looking back, I don't think I did enough to separate myself. And to your point, it's probably more common than it's not for guys to just kind of, I'm good, I did enough, you know, move on to the next day. Instead of being hungry for that extra competitive advantage, whatever it is to really put you over the top.
Yeah.
That's good right there.
It is, man. Cause I saw that in myself, and reading your words, I was like, man, I would admit to that. I never put it in those words, in that terms. And it sounded so simple. I was like, man, I took my situation for granted. I didn't do enough. I didn't. And so when you have the conversations like we had prior to you coming on with like Tom Brady, you know, and you bring up he's 43. He's not as mobile or as, you know, athletic maybe as he was 10 years ago, but it's the other things. It's that preparation. It's how to lead. It's being in a winning environment prior to getting where he is, and taking all these guys in and saying, hey, if we want to win, this is what we have to do. Right. You can't look at from what I have to do is what we have to do. I loved reading that. And I thought that can go for at any level, any sport, any age group, any job. It was a punch in the gut, honestly, when I read it. The other thing,
try saying it and
dude,
about your own career.
Yeah. Humble you real quick. I couldn't, but I mean, it obviously, like, you know, you're in a good place, and to realize that, man, like, yeah, I've only had, you know, other than, you know, Coach Underwood on here, somebody say that kind of thing about themselves when they self-reflect and put the onus on them. I can't imagine. I don't know most guys that do that.
Appreciate that.
You know, and then going through your coaching career, like was it something that you knew you were going to do? Cause you got away from the game for just a little bit.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I missed 11 and 12. I signed with the Angels to go to spring training in 13. At the time, I was going back to school online, University of Phoenix, to finish my degree, because what I thought I was going to do was to get in. I wanted to coach college. I took a job helping out at a high school out here locally while I was going to school online. I ended up signing with the Angels. Kind of, you know, I got released the last 2 days of spring training, and that's when it was clear to me time to move on. Job at a high school, and then I took a job at Scottsdale Community College in 2014 in the fall, and like maybe 6 weeks after taking that job, the Padres called. It happened to be the farm director for the Padres, Sam Gainey, who used to work with Oakland, who got my name recommended from Scott Emerson, who I had as a pitching coach, and then he became the pitching coordinator, and now he's the A's big league pitching coach. As it was a recommendation, my name to Sam. I came in and interviewed, and then I got a job in 2015 as the Arizona League pitching coach. And then things kind of went, like, I was supposed to be the pitching coach the next year in Tri-Cities. The manager that year ended up having some health issues, so I managed for 2 years in Tri-Cities. And then I came back to Arizona for 2 years as the rehab complex coordinator. And then I got an opportunity last year to, take the bullpen job, the major league team. So things kind of went, on a pretty quick trajectory, which was awesome. And now I'm getting an opportunity to learn under Larry Rothschild and an amazing staff here. So, and now, I mean, we got a really talented young group here, and it's,
you guys
fun to be around.
Made some moves in the off season. How excited are you about some of the new guys coming in? I think some guys left. I'm not sure I remember some of the trades, but did you guys lose it? You lost, oh my gosh. Davies is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but you bring in some pretty big arms too.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a really talented, awesome group last year, man. And on paper, it looks really, really, really good this year. Exciting to get the group together here soon and kind of see us become a team. Not a bunch of really good players, become a team. And just, like I said, awesome to get the opportunity to learn under Larry, and then also just have a bunch of talented pitchers to share my knowledge that I have and also learn from them. We're constantly learning and growing in this game. So it really is just a good group to be around.
With that being said, with learning from guys, and you're going to have veterans pitchers, how much of the old school and new school kind of work into, because a lot of the analytics now, and how much of that plays with your style now from learning? Because obviously Bennett was, spin rate, he could just tell you, but now with all the technology and stuff, how much do you work in all of it together?
Very much so. It's a lot of times it depends on the individual, kind of what their off-season process is, what they're using for technology. We're obviously bringing that to everyone's attention, but as far as it being a teaching tool, it really is just as much about what the player is comfortable with. And it's so much a part of the game now. I'm learning to, I've learned it, still learning it. And just trying to stay up with, as these players start coming up, the younger players coming up, they're all getting this stuff now at 12 years old and, starting that all the way up. So I have to be very well versed in all that stuff too, to make sure you can, work with that. But it's crazy the knowledge that's out there now, man. There's so much information, and I think sometimes it can bog you down. I think there's something to be said for, paralysis by analysis, where you get a little too much into it, but it's definitely a teaching tool and something to help improve. Ultimately the hitter's the ultimate test. You getting them out. But I think the numbers and the analytics and those stuff give you a lot of helpful information to help you do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've slowly become more and more into the, using the science and the data. It's all good. Our business here, we have a lot of automated machines that make our jobs way easier than the old school way, if you will. But it also depends on the person running it. And so I think, it is a combination of both. And, I'm not one-sided on it, but I think also knowing your players too is also probably the biggest thing. How much of that involved are you as far as like the pitching plan and what is your main duty out there in the bullpen? What is the one thing that you need to get done when a guy gets called up?
Yeah.
Or just some guys like to be, let me do my part.
Everyone wants different information. Everyone wants a little bit different information. So learning the guy, I think, is the biggest point. Like, I use the word feel all the time. That information is good if you have enough feel on how to relay it, or how to, depending on the person that you're giving the information to. So, basically I have conversations with these guys all throughout the year, but exactly what it is that they're wanting so that they're going to feel the most comfortable going into the game. And then I make sure to give them that information about whatever, if it's the next 3 hitters that are coming up, sometimes it's just the next hitter. First pitch, there's just so many different things, but each guy has their own comfort zone of what they want to know before going in. And I've got all the information out there with me. And so for each guy, it's just kind of what that person is looking for to feel the most ready to go in and compete. And that's, sometimes guys want a lot of info, and some guys are like, man, just short and sweet, simple. And that's kind of, my job out there as far as like in-game stuff. But yeah, I'm part of the game plan stuff. Just as we come up with, ways for our guys to attack hitters. And it's evolved in just my 2 years here as we kind of go through this, and we're constantly, everyone's trying to improve in this game. And it's been, like I said, there's so much information. So sometimes you got to pick and choose what makes the most sense. But it's been good. And we got a bunch of dudes that have really good stuff down there in the bullpen, and, that makes it a little easier.
It's Slam Diego.
Well, the bullpen too is, you got a bunch of weird guys down there too. Like, there's got to be there's got to be guys that step up there. Then you're just like, oh, here's your ball. I got to leave you alone.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You said it great. I don't have to add anything.
Yeah.
To that. There's so There's so many characters, man. It's freaking awesome.
No, it's going to be fun to watch.
Makes it all. That's why this game is so awesome.
Yeah. I think everybody's going to be circling the Dodgers San Diego series all year long. It's going to be fun to watch.
Are you going to be working on some Japanese? Have you started any learning Japanese at all?
I'm still working on the Spanish. That part hasn't happened yet, but I'll learn what I need to. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, I love it. And then, are you being a pitcher? One last thing, being a pitcher, are you all for the, was it 3-2, 3-0, the 3-0 walk-off grand slams? Since you are a Padres guy, I'm assuming yes. But as a pitcher, that got pretty hyped up. And I would say the majority were in favor of Tatis doing it, as we were.
Well, even pitchers, and we talked to Matt Garza and we talked to Marcus Walden that had big league. They're all like,
"Don't get to 3-0."
We know who swings 3-0. We know who swings 3-1. We know, so that's on the pitcher.
Yeah, man. Mixed emotions on that initially, but the more where we were as a team at that point in time, that got us rolling. So 1,000% behind what happened there, as far as it was also that was a point in the year where our bullpen had struggled a little bit. So we had a couple leads and then, had lost them. And at that point in the game, that kind of put the game out of reach, and really we've started reeling some off right there. So there was a lot of hubbub on either side of that, but man,
it just looked like you guys were having fun. It was
it was fun to watch. That ball was off the plate.
Yeah. It was volleyball 4.
Yeah. Instead, we scored 4.
Yeah.
He's a freak. How is he? Yeah. Being a young kid that grew up around the game with his dad being a big leaguer, and having the spotlight, but having to almost be like a leader at such a young age.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to manage him in short season only for a couple weeks. He's just a freak athlete, man. And obviously the baseball IQ is high from coming up in the game with his dad. And really and the group of guys around him here, I mean, everybody's just kind of he's got the ability to lead. He's got obviously the talent. And then he's got a bunch of good group around him. So it's kind of, I think he's in a good spot, or puts our guys in a good spot. I think you said it best. These guys, they had fun, and it was fun to be a part of and watch it, especially sitting on the bullpen and kind of see the energy those guys have on the offensive side. And then left side of the field played a pretty good defense, as well with those two. It's a
fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it brings you back to like Little League almost, where like Tatis pulls out almost like, where you fake like you're going to go back to first and then you take off to second. Like, you never know what's going to happen on the field. The guy just, like, we talk about baseball IQ, like he understands to get the extra
playing the game within a game.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's what's fun about watching the Padres is like, it brings you back to that little kid. Like, that's what we used to do with Little League. I mean, he's doing it in the big leagues at the highest level and making it but yeah, it's fun to watch the Padres. And I don't have a favorite team, but I was rooting for the Padres just because I actually liked the uniforms. I like the colors that you guys went back to. First of all, I'm a uniform guy. That's what. But it's just fun to watch you guys play. And they have you projected 2022 World Series champs, but we'll see what happens in 2021.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It is. It's
got to be fun for you. Your job, wake up and go to that every day.
Yeah, man, I get to put on a uniform still, and again, the group of guys that you're around, this coaching staff, this whole thing, it's just a good operation going, a bunch of good people, and obviously very talented people too. So it's a good opportunity. It's a good place to be for me right now, for sure.
Well, nah, Ben, I know you're a busy guy, and you guys are a week away from firing it up on all full cylinder. And I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to do this with us. Good luck to you guys, man. I hope they stay healthy and you guys make a good run. Like I said, everybody's gonna be watching, I know, one series for sure all year long. So we just wish you guys the best of luck
The
going
Giants
forward.
one, right? The Giants.
Yeah. Just
They all matter.
That's
do.
right. You're darn
62
right.
of them.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
you're darn right. So no, but good luck, man. Again, we appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
That's episode 96. Ben Fritz, the PS2 having Madden 02 playing first round draft pick, Fresno State alumni. That's the Hit or Die podcast.
Hit or die.